As many of you will be aware, then recently there's been a huge drama in the Maga World. In fact, two of their most prominent figures, Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, are currently having a catfight over social media. And you probably think I'm here to gloat, rubbing my hands, getting out the popcorn, but that's not the case. In fact, I'm here to commend Marjorie Taylor Greene. I know what you're thinking. You're probably rushing for the unsubscribe button. You're going to leave the channel forever. But please hear me out. There is an important point here regarding the spiritual path and human nature in general. Now, we all know what this argument's about. It's over the release of the Epstein files. And most people are quite confused as to exactly why Donald Trump would go through so much effort to stop or block these files from being released. And I know most of you on the left are just thinking there's some kind of smoking gun pointing to pedophiliac activity on behalf of the President of the United States of America. But I think you're getting ahead of yourself. It's not that simple. What we do know is that he's been putting an immense amount of effort into stopping the release of the files. In fact, it would seem that he asked Mike Johnson to put Congress into recess just to avoid a vote on the matter. Because obviously, if you're a Republican and you vote against releasing these files, then it would look very bad. But thanks to a successful discharge petition, enacted through bipartisan effort, by a Republican senator by the name of Thomas Massie and a Democrat by the name of Ro Khanna, a bipartisan discharge petition has forced a vote on the matter. And it would seem like today, when this vote is held, that it's inevitable that the files will be released. But at the moment, the DOJ is initiating an investigation into Democrat operatives and associates who may have a connection to Jeffrey Epstein. And most people think this is just a distraction, to distract from Donald Trump's own activities. But I think it's more cunning than that. More than likely, Donald Trump is aware that if the DOJ has an ongoing investigation, they are not allowed to release evidence associated with that investigation. So it's quite a cunning ploy. That's not the point of this video, though. I'm talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. So recently, Marjorie went on CNN and did a full interview. In fact, she also appeared with Whoopi Goldberg on The View. I was quite surprised to see this. Most people think that she's just being a chameleon and that she's disingenuous. She's just pretending to be somebody who she isn't. But in general, you liberal left people are very unforgiving. And you have to understand that this is not Christian. In fact, this is not a positive quality at all if you are a spiritual individual. Forgiveness is very important. So what is Marjorie saying? Well, one of her main points is that she says she wants to bring an end to this toxic political division, which is poisoning the nation. In fact, it's poisoning the whole world. And in terms of the Buddhist path, then this divisiveness is one of the worst things you can do. In fact, the consequences of dividing people is extreme. It's much more extreme than many other forms of negativity. Now, most people think that she's just acting or that she has some other self-interest involved. And this is just playing into Trump's general narrative. I mean, what Trump does, and Putin is the same, is they just try to make everyone believe that we live in a dystopia where everyone's equally bad. It's like, well, I did this, but what about them? If they're doing it, then it's okay if I do it, right? This notion of false equivalence, that's so dangerous and has caused so much polarity and division in the world. Well, I'm a Buddhist. I'm not a political commentator, even though I make a lot of comments on politics and geopolitics. But I do this to point out human traits, because politics are generally a magnification of human character. And as a Buddhist, then forgiveness is extremely important. Tolerance, forgiveness. Basically, no one is beyond redemption. That's what we believe. In fact, one of the Buddha's own students was a mass murderer. And on converting to Buddhism, that mass murderer, Angulimala, then became an arhat, or a noble being, in a very short period of time. And so we don't hold it against people for the negativity of their past. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that we've got to put aside this division. We have to get rid of this toxic behavior in politics. And I absolutely and totally at 100% agree with this position.
His remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And this has been going on for years, and it has divided our country, split up friends and families, neighbors, and it's not solving our problems.
And so there's no point, and out of resentment, me just saying cynically that she's doing this for ulterior motives. If somebody makes a true statement, a valid statement, if somebody correctly identifies a problem, then we have to rejoice in that. That's really important. And also, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't mean we need to be naive. For example, if she says that and then tomorrow she just reverts to being negative about others and creating more division and polarization, then that will reflect negatively on her. But if we ourselves are cynical and we never give her a chance, then that reflects badly upon us. It means we haven't got this mind of tolerance and forgiveness. So, she says, we have to get rid of this culture of polarization that's based on toxic behavior. And immediately, the left-wing critics will say, well, what about you? Look what you said in 2020, 2021. Look how you acted in January 6th. But if you look at what she's saying, then she has apologized for these things. She has admitted to using language that potentially radicalizes others to engage in negativity. For example, right now, Trump is doing this against her. Trump is saying she is a traitor. And so when his followers hear this, they put two and two together. The punishment for being a traitor is death. And so, of course, Marjorie is going to have to suffer increased death threats.
The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor. And that is so extremely wrong. And those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
Again, I am a Buddhist. I'm not a Christian. I'm a Buddhist. And there is no excuse in my world for death threats or for political violence. It's not acceptable. And besides, she has openly said in public on CNN that she is sorry for her previous behavior and apologizes to those she has harmed or hurt. In fact, she said that she humbly apologizes for participating in this toxic culture in the past, and she wants to go beyond that.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism, and I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country.
Whether this is disingenuous or not, I will not judge. But I personally commend her for this statement. We need more politicians doing this in the world. We need more people doing this in the world. Whether it's on the left or the right, then there's no way we can succeed unless we do it together. If you watch the Chainsaw Llama channel, then I've said this many times, there is nowhere else for us to go. And now, in the 21st century, there is nowhere left on the planet. It's all been taken up. All the resources are accounted for. We are no longer Americans and Europeans. We are citizens of the world. And if we don't grow up, we're going to sabotage our chances of success and survival in the future. Now, if you believe what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, then she claims one of the reasons why she's had a change of heart was the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This is something I've talked about in the past.
It's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward.
If we live in a world where political violence and assassination are acceptable, then we've opened up Pandora's box. There's no way we can control that narrative once we say it's okay to harm or kill our enemies, our opponents. In truth, we are not enemies. There is no us or them. Now, even though Charlie Kirk was somebody seen to be on the right, so that's part of her people, she's recognized that if we have this culture of violence and threat, if we give permission structures for assassination, then that can reflect upon us as much as it can upon our opponents. It's this joke, right? That if you vote for the leopards eating faces party, you can't complain if a leopard eats your face. It's the same. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene has claimed that she never wants to harm or hurt others. And when you hear that statement, you might point to some of the things she said in the past.
Well, Dana, as you know, and many people know, I addressed that back in 2021. And of course, I never want to cause any harm or anything bad for anyone.
But again, she has openly apologized and said she's sorry for what she has done in the past, and that she has seen the error in her ways. And the first question that pops into my mind when I hear that statement is, why is it in general that women are much more able to do this than men? For example, Joe Biden was never able to admit his own faults or his wrong. He would always try to blame somebody else. And Donald Trump's the same.
I'm with women, so I feel very comfortable saying this. I'm really tired of the pissing contest in Washington, D.C. between the men. Yeah. I really am.
In my experience, in my life, then for the most part, women look for solutions. And also, they're far more humble than men. For example, men have a real pride issue. And so for most men, loss of faith is one of the worst things that can happen. And so they rarely admit their faults. But in general, and maybe this is because women being childbearers are the ones who tend to protect our culture and society, to my mind, it's 100% certain that in general, women are more humble and able to forgive others more easily. Now, this last statement she made is really important. And that is one of the fundamental points of Christianity is the mind of forgiveness.
You know, again, I can only speak for myself. I'm a Christian, and one of the most important parts of our faith is forgiveness, and that's something I'm committed to. That's why I can easily come on your show that is watched all over the world, and I can say things I'm sorry for, and I can try to set an example of how I think we should move forward.
She hopes that in some way she can heal this rift that has been created within her own party, and especially to heal this rift between her and Donald Trump. Now, this is noble, and I cannot criticize her for this, because she is a self-confessed Christian. And if you are a Christian, then you have to uphold those values and virtues. You have to at least see them to be important. And sadly, these days, then many Christians do not hold to their own values. For example, many Christians spread hate speech, especially in the geopolitical arena. And so anyway, as far as I'm concerned, I cannot criticize Marjorie Taylor Greene for what she has said. And if I do criticize someone, it will be on this point, on whether or not they contradict their own stated beliefs. For example, if they claim to be a Christian, as Mike Johnson does, but then they use lies and deceit in order to obfuscate their real intentions. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a very important point, and it's an important point for Buddhists as much as it is for Christians. Because often on the path, us Buddhists are hypocrites. We claim that we should have love and compassion for all sentient beings. And then when we see a reprehensible figure like Donald Trump, all we have for them is resentment and anger. And this is a mistake. You just look at the way Pope Leo acts. He is a true Christian. He believes in love and compassion. And he has forgiveness in his mind for anyone, no matter how lowly they are, and also no matter what they have done in the past. The past does not matter. What we need to do is concentrate in the here and now, the present moment, how we act and conduct ourselves between friends, neighbors, enemies, in society, and on the geopolitical stage. It's time for us to grow up and stop being children. As I said many times before, we are all in this together. We have nowhere else to go. And that means if we sink the ship, we all go down together. So this is just something I felt I wanted to share with you. And I know I don't usually release this many videos in a week, but I thought it was quite topical and also important to make comments on this while it's still fresh in your mind. It's my wish that you should develop tolerance. Tolerance for others and forgiveness for those who have acted in a negative way in the past. And then we have to work together to build a brighter future. And how we establish that brighter future depends upon how we act in the here and now. And that means we should never lose our loving compassion. And also, we have to engage in virtue and avoid non-virtue. Don't give permission for negativity. For example, don't cheer on the assassination of others just because you don't agree with them. That's not Christian and that's not Buddhist. And it's my belief, if we behave in this way, if we avoid negativity and apply ourselves to virtue and thoroughly tame our own minds, and to thoroughly tame your own mind means to overcome your negativity, then there will be the chance of a brighter future for all of us. So until next time, and see you later.